My friend recently sent me this and asked me to fix it. He had put it in the washing machine and the plastic has given all the way along there. One of the handles, the stitching has come undone. This has started to give as well. Then the other problem is these have come undone. So there's a few little repairs that I need to do. I think that's all. So let's get started. Remove this plastic. Whatever method you need to use it. It's going to take me a while because I've got both ends to do. Both of these handles are coming undone. The stitch used in here is a chain stitch, so if I pull this, you can see it's going to pull this out like that, and then when I pull again, this will come out. So I'm going to cut that and not pull that anymore because that's a bit naughty. Going the other way is given, so I'm going to pull all of these loose stitches out. Then when I look inside of here, it's like cardboard. That I'm a little bit surprised at. It's a packing, and that's all they're doing is packing the handle so it's soft to carry. On this particular handle, this has broken, and so the packing has also torn. I'm going to have to think about how to seal this across here so it doesn't carry on pulling, and then make that look at least half decent. It's a little bit worn over here. I think once it's all sewn together it will hold. This is linen and it's a strong fabric. If I pull on the warp thread, there's very little give. The same on the weft. So I'm going to cut a section out. You can see that that has already come apart in there. I don't really want to disturb that any more than I have to. I'm going to push that back in a minute. Pop this down here, like lots of layers of back tacking with a cover over it. It's really weird. Just goes to show you never know what's in these things until you take them to pieces. Pop that all back together like that. Put that over there so it fits nicely under there. Make sure that's straight. I don't want it wonky. I'm going to fold it into here. So I'm going to cut a little bit off here so that that is hidden inside. I'm hoping it'll do the trick. I just need some fabric in there to hold everything from stretching apart any more than it already is. Might need to take that back a little bit more. So I'm going to roll that into place under there, like that. Fold that over the top and that over the top there. I'm going to wriggle this until it's exactly where I want it to be because I can't have that pulling the cardboard out of position. I've made it a little bit fat. I've got to slim it down. I have very carefully pinned everything into place where I've made the repair underneath, and putting this right at the back here as far as I can, I'm going to sew over the stitches that are here. Hopefully I'll be able to sew all the way through. I need to do it through the original stitching because that's the chain stitch. So I need to catch that down if possible. Now I'm coming into the part I'm really a bit worried about. And keep this as even as I possibly can, which is a little bit difficult because it's a handle. Pull that down on that side. I can see where I want to stitch it, so that makes it a lot easier. Push that and pull that into place. Take that one out. Push that one and pull that one into place. Again, remove that. I think I disturbed what was under there a little bit more than I wanted to, so I hope it doesn't affect the way the handle feels when he's holding it. Sew that into place. Coming to where the break is, that's where the worst of it is, because that's where most of the handle is broken underneath. I'm still going to push and pull it into place. I'm going to have to support this as it falls off the front. Push and pull, but I'm not pulling it down. I don't want to pull it down because I don't want to open that up if I can help it. And then I've got to get as far down as I can possibly do this so it goes over the original stitching as far as I can get it to go, and then reverse. It does show a little bit of the colour underneath. I'm sure that will work, and now I'm going to do the other side all the way down from as far back as I can so that it's held into position too. Forward and back over the original stitching and then on round the handle and as far up as I can and reverse. And I'll stitch the other handle in the same way because by holding these stitches in from the chain stitch it should give it a little bit more strength than what it did because some of those are coming out. It still is a little bit open. I'm not 100% happy with that, but I can only work with what I've got at the moment. I'm going to do it from the front so I can actually see where the top of this is. If I do 2 more rows from the top here, I'll be able to do a better job than I have, and it should hold this a little bit more firmly. I wanted to do it from the back so I could see where the folds were on the other side. Although this second handle is in better condition, I'm still going to go over 3 times to hold that in place, because it would only be a matter of time before the same thing happens to this handle as the other one. So this is the second time I'm on here. I've got 1 more to do on here and then 3 to do over these, because they will give. So both handles are now done. It'll hold. It's got the fabric underneath that goes at least 1.5 inches either side. So there's quite a bit of strength in there. I'm looking here. This has come up, and obviously this has as well. Put this underneath here. Slide that to there. Go forward and back to hold it, and hold that out as well as I can. It should be strong enough to hold for now. And then I'm going to pop this under here and just catch that down as well. Push that towards the back, and then there's no stress on there. Don't know how well that's going to hold. Okay, seeing as I've just broke the needle, I'm going to go across so far, turn around and go back the other way. I think that might be the best way of doing this. Sometimes you just have to think of a second or third way of getting something done. Go across the original stitching so it holds. Let's carefully twist that. I don't want to mess with that too much. And then back across. I'm going to see if I can rewind it. That did reverse. Okay, so I'm going to take it out. When I look at this, it might have lost a couple of teeth, so I'm going to put this on here. It's 2 down. So I'm going to go down and see. Now I've got to pull that tooth back up one. Pull that back a little bit. Maybe that's it. Let's have a look. Okay, that's it. Having put the zip in, I'm going to pull it right off this end, like that. This hasn't been trashed like the other side, so it should go in a bit better. Alright, now if that happens, this is a really old zip, so it's a lot easier to do. Open the zip teeth and push it back in. Pop this over here, and I'm going to pin it on both sides. Hopefully can't do that again, because the fabric should hold it in place. Slide this under here, everything that's underneath the back as far as I can, which is a little bit awkward. I'm going to sew from the outside edge there up to the top corner here. Put the needle down, foot up, twist. The original just had leather across the top, and I always put something across the bottom and top. Let's put that down. There we go. Now I'm not going to go between the teeth, I'm going at the end of the last tooth, so I shouldn't stop at all. And I'm going to go back and then forward to the end, needle down and foot up, and then twist it, make sure that that's under like that, and then straight off back to this side. Now I've got to make sure that that one is 1 up compared to there, like that. Push that down, and again I'm going to just put this little piece and pop that across there, pin it in to place, and sew it in exactly the same way as I just have. This is going to stop that coming apart, taking it all the way from there across and down. Now I'm going to sew it. Okay, so this was the bad end. I think it's as straight on as I can make it. It's very difficult to tell because there's a huge patch missing. That will hold it. That's not going to go anywhere. I am going to replace the leather. This has so many holes in it, it will eventually give, like the other one had. I'm going to just cut along here and along here. You can see it, I'm recycling this from another project. I'm going to do that, and then I'll cut another one exactly the same for the other end. Basically this is the stopper for the top of here. Pull that down because I don't want that in the way, and I'm going to bring it forward just a little bit and sew all the way across. 1 row of stitching to hold it in place. When he opens the zip or pulls it, he can still hold on to that and it'll do the job. So I'll do the same on the other end. Even this up to the end there, like that. I'm going to measure from here around. Now that's 1/2 inch. So I've kind of folded it all the way over. I would say 1 3/4. I'm going to cut 2 lengths at 3 3/4. I think that'll do. I'm doing it on the bias. I don't usually like doing this part on the bias, but it just gives me a bit of freedom. And I'm going to cut my length up here all the way to the top. I'm doing it like a quilt binding. Now this is a microfiber, so it should be quite sturdy. Join it like I do any other piping, which is across here on one of the smallest stitches. Cut it back to about 1/4 inch from the seam. I'm going to treat it like a roll pillow, so the end is uppermost. I'm going to start like that, fold that over. I'm going to secure it as I sew. Line all of that up together, slide that underneath the foot, and I'm going to run the side of my foot along the inside of this stitching. I think that's where I want it. Now I'm not going to pull the binding underneath, I'm just going to make sure that it runs smoothly, which means I'm going to lay that on top like that, put it on the longest stitch and sew. Adjust and sew. The original plastic was right on the edge. I think that might have been why they had some of the problem they did. The plastic was going to give anyway. Remove that. Unfortunately, the zip this end didn't hold shut, so I'm going to have to make sure it stays even as I go through, otherwise it's going to catch on the bed of the sewing machine. Make sure my 2 edges are even and sew. I've obviously missed the zip teeth. Put that back up like that and carry on. Keep everything together. When you come into one of these corners, I'm going to just pull both of those out. Find it easier to move the inside and outside pieces together, and so ease the arc of the inside into place. It's just trial and error really. Adjust, move, twist, adjust, and then pull it back into line. A couple of stitches, needle down, adjust everything. Make sure the top fabric doesn't walk against the middle fabric really, because it's this one I'm worried about. As I come into this corner, I'm going to make sure that both of those are equal. I don't want one walking against the other as I get there. If I do have, say, the top one walking, that means the corner won't go in properly. Remove those two. Twist the bag. Make sure the fabric you're pulling in is straight, and then sew. Needle down. It should all pull in, shouldn't be a problem. Push the top against the bottom and ease it all into place. The weight of the bag doesn't help. I'm going to do that on the next 2 sides. I have my seam here. I'm going to make sure that it's open all the way across. The top part of the seam is still flat, and I'll make sure this lower part is as well. I should have ironed it, I think, but never mind. I'll just work my way to the top here. The fold of the fabric is there and the end is here, so I'm just going to come a little way and cut straight across. Line everything up, make sure the bottom fabric is nice and flat, and over sew into place. Trim all those loose ends back. I'm just going to bring all of this around like that, over the top, and pin it into position as I go around like this. I would suggest put the straight edges in first and then work on the corners. Then you shouldn't twist anything as you go around. It should all go in nice and evenly. It doesn't have to be pinned perfectly, just hold it straight. Slide this underneath here like this, just over from the zip. So the zip is here, and the reason I've done that is I really want as much support over the zip as possible. Pull that down and start sewing. I'm going to try to do it as close to this edge as possible, like that. I'm pulling the fabric from there straight over. I'm not pulling it this way, I'm not pushing it that way, just straight over. It will twist slightly because it was cut on the bias, but I'm hoping that it won't twist too much. As I go to the corner, I'll probably have to maneuver it a little bit just to make sure it's doing what I want it to do, but it should go in quite nicely. This is not an uncommon method of binding something. really pull it out. You want it as tight as you possibly can. You don't want it loose. And as I go around the corner, it might bunch a bit, but hopefully not too much. And I'll make my way on around. This bit of binding wants to pull out slightly, but as long as the raw edges are in there, that's all that matters. As I come to this side where I started, pull that down into place and sew. As I get closer, I'm going to pull the top one over as well. See if I can even those out just slightly. And bring that over the top and down into position. There we go. Pull that down. So over your stitches and back over that zip, because you want as much support there as possible. And stop. I'm going to just block these off with some painter's tape because I don't want to risk getting anything on the canvas. These ones seem to be quite well stitched on still, so I don't want to remove them. The other two have come off, which is a bit irritating. That goes all the way around there. I've got some leather cleaner here, and I'm going to put that on there and then just pop that on there. I think what I'll do is put a couple of layers on, let that soak in. And same on this one. Gosh, that's already soaked in. You can see it soaking in. And I'm going to do the same here. See if that helps in any way, shape or form. Now this one seems okay, but unfortunately this one feels odd. I do have another piece of leather that I can use. Something I did find was I went to a couple of places to ask for advice and I was met with no advice at all. One place I went to, they had a box right by the door and it had remnants written on it and a selection of leathers that obviously they sold on to other people. I asked if they would be prepared to sell me a small amount of leather to fix this, and the answer was no, we don't keep it, which I thought was a little bit odd when you're standing next to the box that says remnants, but anyway, who am I? And then I asked if they would be prepared to cut some out and sew them on and I'd pay them, and I was met with, we don't do that, it's a waste of money, it would cost too much, throw it away. It seems such a weird attitude because it's a local company, and if anybody ever asks me what I think of the company, well, the company I think weren't very helpful. I often have people who ask me for advice and I will not be sending them to that company. I have cleaned it a little bit and it looks like it could be brass, so let's put some ketchup on, kind of smear it about on both sides. I would tell my kids not to play with food, but here I am playing with food. I'm going to just let that be in there for about 20 minutes. It can't look worse than it started off. If I hold it like that, I can see that this upholstery leather is thinner than this. So I assume this is a shoe leather thickness, and thinking about it, maybe that's why the gentleman said that he didn't have leather, because he didn't have the right kind of leather. Who knows? I think that's close enough. I'm going to put my thinking cap on and work out what to do. I'm going to see whether this has actually worked. See all that dirt coming off. I remember as a girl belonging to the guides, we used to shine our brasses so that they looked good, but whether I can get this looking anywhere near decent, I have no idea. Well, something's coming off. Feels a bit smoother. Whether I can actually get it looking a little bit more brassy, I don't know. Might need a couple of goes. I always try things out for my friends. I'm sure I should glue it together, but I don't have any glue. Which way does that go? I need to push that like that. Pop this through the little hole that I made there and there. Then pop that all the way through to the back. I'm hoping that works. I figure 2 lengths of leather would be better than 1 layer. I'm just going to neaten that up to look like the top one. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to kind of hide. I really didn't think about this very sensibly when I started on this part. I'm going to put that over the original marking, slide that under there, but I do need to keep this uppermost, otherwise it won't work. Sew across, reverse, and all the way to this corner here. I seem to remember I had to almost go to the edge, otherwise I can't turn. Lift the foot up, leave the needle down with a little bit of manoeuvring, because you need the buckle under the foot as you turn, and unfortunately this is really quite heavy. It doesn't want to go where I want it to go. I should have done it when I didn't have the ends sewn in, so I've managed to straighten that up, put the foot down. Oh, that's going on the buckle, that's a bit irritating, but It's going to be moving off the buckle, so it won't be that bad. Line everything up again and then sew. I've got to sew this all the way around, which is a little bit awkward because there's a lot of fabric to go under here and I don't have very much space. Needle down, foot up, and then twist. And I'm going to see if I can get this twisted underneath here so that I can come around the other side and sew it into position. As I go around, I just do a couple of stitches, lift the foot with the needle down and twist again, and hopefully this will go in relatively well. Not perfect, because this, as I say, I should have done it before I put all this together, but never mind. Sometimes we don't think about things until it's too late, and then reverse. The match is quite good, which is a fluke because I didn't know this was coming in, and it's certainly going to do a lot better at holding everything together than this poor old thing. Thank you for joining me on this project. I think with these minor repairs, my friend now has a bag that's going to last a little bit longer. I will be giving him extra leather so that if any of these straps give again, he can have those remade. Personally, I think he's going to be rather pleased with this, seeing as it's one of the first pieces of luggage he purchased when he was young. If you want to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care, see you later, ciao!